my name is David Jones. Firstly, I'd like to thank you very much for buying your Seagull deterrents from Gull. Here at Gull, we invented all of the systems that you see, and we're lucky enough to have them patent protected. Over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to show you three of our products. We've got the Defender 11-inch Seagull Spike. We've got the Defender Ridge Spikes. It's in terracotta and grey. And we've got the Defender Chimney Pot Strap. Before we start, I just wanted to talk to you quickly about health and safety. Now that you've purchased the goods and you're ready to do the job, the first thing to do is just to take a look up at the building before you actually start any work and just do a simple risk assessment. When we say risk assessment, it just means looking at the job to see how you can do the job safely without harming yourself or other people. Make sure you've always got someone to help you. If you don't think you can do the job safely, then why not get a quote from a local handyman or a window cleaner or a local roofer to do the work for you. If you don't want to do the work yourself and you can't find anyone local to do it for you, then please return the goods for a full refund, no questions asked. Better safe than sorry. Okay, you've decided to do the job yourself. Just might be a good idea just to throw on some rubber gloves. If it's dusty, make sure you wear a mask. Something I also do as well is sometimes if it is dusty, it's just to wet it all down just so there's no dust flying around. Put on some just some goggles and some old overalls. You can get all of this from your local B&Q or your local hardware store. First product we're going to look at is the Defender 11. We call it a Defender 11 because although it's a third of a metre in length, it actually will span out, the spikes will span outwards to protect a ledge that has a maximum depth of 11 inches. Obviously it will protect ledges that are smaller, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, but the maximum ledge protection width is 11 inches. The length of this product, the length from here to here, is a third of a metre or just over 13 inches long. The height of these pins, from the base to the top of the pin, is 150 millimetres or 6 inches long. If this was a pigeon spike, they'd be quite a bit shorter, about 4 inches. So the Seagull spike is an extra 2 inches long, and this is to cater for the longer legs of the seagull. If it was a pigeon spike, the seagull's leg would be able to stand in between. But because of the 6-inch height, the seagull is unable to roost in between the spikes. With this third of a metre strip, you have 20 pins. This dense pattern of protruding pins that fan out will actually just stop, it stops the seagull landing without hurting it. It creates a physical barrier. The spike itself, if you look at the base, you can see there are little holes along the bottom. That's for the glue to ooze up through, or indeed they can be screwed down. So the spike base itself, in most situations you would glue it down. Alternatively, you can be screwed down. We've got a pretend ledge here. It could be at the top of a building, it could be a parapet wall, and the width of this is about 10 inches wide. Now one row of spikes that's positioned in the middle will protect that ledge. Just as a rule of thumb, to give you an idea, the gap that it can be at either side of the pin is about 3–3.5 inches. A seagull will not get into that area. So it's about the width of your fist. And there, pretending that was a seagull, there's not enough room for it to get on that edge of the ledge. It might just be able to get a foothold, but it wouldn't be able to settle there. So that one row of spikes will work for that very well. If this ledge was much wider, say over 11 inches wide, it may well then have been necessary to put 2 rows of spikes on. And if this ledge was 11.5, 12 inches wide, what I would have done is we put 1 row over this side and simply put another row on the other side. What we need to do here, we're going to install this spike onto the ledge. I'm simply going to squeeze a nice thick squeeze of the silicone all along the base. We're just now going to place that in the middle of the ledge Just going to press that down, and then you'll notice the silicone will squeeze up through the little holes. There you can see the silicone will just squeeze up through, forming a little rivet which will lock it in place. We've worked all the way along the ledge, putting the spikes down. Well, you notice we've come to the edge of the ledge and we've got a little bit left over to do. Take a piece without the glue on, simply measure up, and then you'll notice all along the bottom there are little grooves. Now I know that I want to snap it off there. I take either side there with my fingers and that will just snap off like that. And then I can simply glue the last piece down onto the ledge. Next we're going to take a look at a much wider ledge. This could be a flat roof that's on top of a building. I think this is about 26 inches wide, and I'm going to use 3 rows of spikes on it. If this ledge was say 20 inches wide, I've probably got away with 2 rows, but because it's over the 22 inches, I know that this is going to take 3 rows. First thing I would do is to glue the first row on, just so the spikes are level with the edge there. I now know that the next row I put on, the maximum gap I can leave in between the rows is about 3.5 inches, which is about the width of your fist. So just as a guide there, I'm just going to touch that wire, and that's now about a 3.5 inch gap. I might just bring it in slightly to make it about a 3 inch gap, and I would then glue that row down, and then I'd same again, I'd leave about a 3.5 inch gap, and I'd put the last row on, and then just work my way along that ledge till the whole ledge is protected. Just to point there, there's an area which is called a light pressure area and also a heavy pressure area. A light pressure area is an area where seagulls just very occasionally land. And if that's the case, you can spread the spikes right out. There's also something called a heavy pressure area, which seagulls use as an overnight roosting spot, or an area which they constantly use all day long. If that was the case, and it's a heavy pressure area, lots of gull activity, you may wish to even consider putting them very close together and then putting a 4th row on, which will give you absolute maximum for protection, even if it is a heavy pressure area. Now we'll have a look at the ridge spike. As it says, it's just a spike that fits on the top of the roof on the ridge. It's available in terracotta or a dark grey, which will blend in with almost all ridge tiles. Here we've got a dark grey ridge. It's a very, very steep angle here. Not a problem at all. You've got the gap here, the concave gap at the end of the ridge spike. Simply, because if I put that on before, I can see there's a little bit of a gap either side, I'm just going to make sure I squeeze quite a large quantity of silicone all along the base. And that will just simply press down onto there, and that will now lock solid. Most ridge tiles have a standard angle, and that will just fit on there. A lot less glue needed, and just put the glue on and that will press down onto the ridge. Now here we go to put the last piece on at the end of the ridge, and we'll notice that there's an overhang. All we need to do there is just make a note of where it is, ordinary hacksaw, and then we just cut through that, cut a piece off, and that will just go on just to finish the line. The last thing we're going to have a look at is the Defender chimney pot spike strap. To fit the strap, we're going to wrap it around the top of the chimney, here we've got the spring. We're just going to pull that tight around the top, and we're just going to fix it into one of the fixing holes here, and that is now locked tight around the chimney. A couple of features here you can look at. Because this is quite a small chimney pot, you'll notice that the spike just overlapped itself. Well, that doesn't matter. It just means that you've got some extra points sticking up. If this was a bigger chimney pot, it wouldn't overlap so much. And again, here you can see it's a fully adjustable. The spring can just go to whichever one to pull it nice and tight. And now that that is fixed solid, it won't slip at all. One thing I will say there is that I may well have made that look very easy. For two reasons. One is I've had practice at it, and two is I'm stood on the ground. If I would be a little bit concerned about, if you've got no experience of working on the roofs, is not to do this job yourself, is to get in a roofing firm that are used to working up at those heights. But a great thing about this product is that you've got your chimney sweeps brush, and whereas other products will easily be knocked out by the shove of the chimney sweeps brush, this product here will just push up straight past the spikes and then just retract with ease. Last comment on the chimney pipe strap. Here you can see you've got a square chimney pot and a much larger chimney pot. Because the strap is so flexible, it will simply bend around the square and it will go around the larger chimney pot.